Hello everyone, welcome to our new session. So from this diagram, are you able to recall what we have done in the previous class, students? Yes, we have discussed the features of computer memory and its major type, and that is primary and secondary. And we have discussed the disadvantages and advantages of primary memory, and we have discussed about the features of secondary memory. And then we analyzed the four types of memory, that is RAM and ROM, and secondary and primary memory also. Here you can see the RAM and ROM is further divided as SD-ROM, actually PROM, EROM, and EPROM. And secondary memory have four types, that is floppy disk, optical disk, hard disk, and magnetic disk. Okay, are you clear with this point, students? So in today's class we are going to learn about the memory device. For first we can analyze what is RAM. Okay, so this is RAM, and RAM is actually divided as two types, that is DRAM and SRAM. So what is DRAM, students? Do you know what is a DRAM? First, you have to tell me, do you remember what was RAM stands for? Yes, that is random access memory. And can you recall the features of RAM, students? Yes, we can say RAM is a volatile kind of memory, and whenever the power is switched off, the data can be erased, and the storage capacity is very high. And if we talk about the speed of the this particular uh, mm, uh, device, we can say that it has a fast, it is very faster than ROM, and it is very expensive also, and it can read and write, students. So this is the main features of RAM, and we can directly connect it to the CPU. So this is the main features of RAM, students. And RAM is again subdivided into two, that is DRAM and SRAM. So what is DRAM? DRAM actually stands for dynamic random access memory, and SRAM is actually stands for static random access memory. Then, students, what is DRAM? Here you can see what is DRAM. DRAM stands for dynamic random access memory. Okay, and why it is called as dynamic, students? Do you know what is the reason behind that? Yes, dynamic is actually characterized by constant change. Okay, so because it must be refreshed all time, the DRAM must be refreshed all time. And here you can see a separate picture of a capacitor and transistor. DRAM uses capacitor and transistors to actually refresh the data. And you can see that for storing the data also they are using this particular device, that is capacitor and transistor, and it need periodical refreshing. That's why it is called as dynamic random access memory. So this particular memory needs a periodical refreshing, then only it can store the data properly, students. So then let's see what is other features of DRAM. It consumes more power, so it is actually a disadvantage. It is using transistors, so we know that transistors use more energy, so it will also we can say DRAM is actually a it actually consumes more power. And DRAM works at a low speed. Okay, it is very slower when comparing to other types of memory, students. And the cost of DRAM is less than the other RAM. Okay, so I think you are clear with this point. When working on the with the help of DRAM memory, we can say speed of DRAM is very slow. And why it is slow, students? Yes, we can say that processor cannot access the data or content of DRAM when it is being refreshed. That's why it is considered as slow memory, and it is not that expensive. This is very cheaper, and it is not giving a speed data or speed storage system. And this is SRAM. SRAM actually stands for static RAM. So it is static, students. It does not change, or we can say there is no need of refreshing this kind of data. And it is made up of CMOS technology, and it contains 4 to 6 transistors and uses clocks also, and capable of holding the data as long as power supplied. It does not require periodic refresh. So here you can see a photography of SRAM. And what is the important characteristics of SRAM, students? Why it is considered as static? Yes, it does not need to refresh periodically, and it uses CMOS technology. You can see that CMOS technology is here. It is CMOS technology, and we can say that it stands for complementary metal oxide semiconductor. It is actually using complementary metal oxide semiconductor as a technology, and it uses transistors and clocks. Okay, it contains 4 to 6 transistors, and the memory retains its content as long as a power being supplied. And it's a volatile in nature, and whenever the power is on, it will retain the data. Whenever it's off, it will also retain. So this is also known as volatile memory, students. So then let's see what is. Quickly let's go through this point, students. It is quick. You have to tell me this is about which memory, DRAM or SRAM. Yes, quick means it is actually about, we can say, SRAM, because it ran quickly, students. So that we can consider this as SRAM, and we can say they are inexpensive. Which is inexpensive? DRAM. They are high density devices, which is DRAM, dynamic RAM, and capacitors are not used, which means refresh is not needed. Which is that? SRAM. Okay, so static RAM is used as like this, students, and it provides slow access speed. What? Yes, that is dynamic RAM. I think you are clear with these points. You have to tell me what type of memory must be constantly refreshed. That is DRAM. RAM is actually need a periodical wise refreshment. Okay, so we can consider DRAM as a constantly refreshing memory. And here you can see there are three types of ROM. What is ROM, students? Do you know the term ROM? Yes, that is read only memory. So recall what we have done in the previous class and tell me what are the features of ROM. Actually, ROM is more reliable than RAM, and we can say it is a non-volatile memory. So ROM is what, students? Non-volatile. Okay, this is an important point, so you have to mark non-volatile memory. Then what is the other features of ROM, students? It actually very cheaper than RAM memory, and ROM is static memory, so does not need to refresh every time. So this is the particular features of these particular memory, students. And now there are three types of ROM that you need to know. What are they? PROM, EPROM, and EEPROM. PROM means programmable read-only memory, and EPROM is erasable programmable read-only memory, and EEPROM is electronically erasable programmable read-only memory. So about the first PROM, we can say it is programmed read-only memory. The next is actually erasable. So there is a difference between these terms, students. So you have to note this also. And then let's see what is PROM. It is actually programmable read only memory, is a memory chip that can only be programmed once. So once programmed or written to, the information is permanent, it cannot be changed or deleted. So firstly we are going to discuss it about PROM. What it stands for students, you have to tell me that thing. That is programmable read only memory. Okay, and it is actually a type of memory that can only be programmed once. Okay, then here you can see the physical piece of memory. It can only burned and programmed once. Okay, and actually it is using burning method to store the data. It is actually using a burning method, and once it's written to or programmed the information, it is permanent, which means what, students? We cannot change the data from it, or we cannot delete and replace the data. That is the main disadvantages of PROM. So are you clear with this point, students? Then let's see what is EPROM. Here you can see EPROM is erasable, recognizable due to the transparent fused coat window on top of the chip. This exposes the chip to ultraviolet light when erasing. Okay, so the next technology you have is, that is EPROM, that is stand for erasable programmed read only memory. Then it is actually easy to recognizable because on the top of this chip you can see a fused coat window is there, and here you can see that these area allow for the chip to expose ultraviolet when erasing the data. Hence, in order to electronically change the data on an EPROM, what we need, do, students? We need to export it to an ultraviolet light, and with the help of ultraviolet light, this erases the data, so we can program it. And it does not use burning like PROM or traditional ROM. It uses ultraviolet for removing the data, and it is more commonly found than PROM, and because it allows manufacturers and users to program chip and erase it. Okay, so these are the main advantages of EPROM. So I think you are clear with this point. So let's discuss what is EPROM. Which is the following is best described EPROM, students? You have to tell me. EPROM can be programmed once only. EPROM can be erased by UV ultraviolet. EPROM can be erased by shorting all inputs to the ground. EPROM can be erased electrically. Which is more appropriate to this EPROM, students? Electronically programmable read-only memory. Yes, this is EPROM. That is, we can erase this data from EPROM with the help of ultraviolet system. Here also you can see they are using the ultraviolet system for removing the data. And the next thing you have to tell me, what are this? Do you know about these devices? Yes, these are flash drives. Then tell me, it is considered as which type of memory? PROM, EPROM, or EEPROM? Yes, this is actually EEPROM. So let's discuss about EEPROM. EEPROM is electronically erasable read-only memory, or E-square PROM. Okay, is a type of ROM that can be erased and programmed using electrical charge. EEPROM consists of array of floating gate transistor. EEPROM is designed to store relatively small amount of data where individual bytes can be erased and programmed. So then we have this EEPROM, and what is the extension of this, students? Electrically erasable read-only memory. And are you able to find the features of EEPROM? Yes, here you can see this is electronically erasable memory, which means it using electronic. or we can say electronic power for erasing this particular memory data. And here in EEPROM we can say instead of ultraviolet light, they are using the system of electricity. Okay, so with the help of electricity we can easily erase the data from EEPROM. Okay, and it is a type of ROM that can be erased and programmed using electronical charge. And so just like EEPROM, we can erase it, but we are using a different way to erase it, and I will tell you how it is actually rating its data. Okay, so we can say that with the help of EEPROM we can easily erase our data, and it is using electronic erasing technology. And now no here in EEPROM, instead of using ultraviolet, we are using a common way, that is with the circuitry, or we can say electronic charge. And EEPROM actually consists of an array of floating gate transistors, and transistors as you know that they react a type of electric charge. And EEPROM is designed to store relatively small amount of data, and where we can erase the and program individual bytes of data. If we are observing the physical features of EEPROM, here you can see the picture of EEPROM. It is a very smaller chip and it stores smaller amount of data. So this is a disadvantages of EEPROM. And then let's see what is the example of EEPROM. It actually flash memory is a type of EEPROM which allows for high speed and high density data access and storage. It is a very common type of EEPROM, and it is flash memory. I think we all are using this kind of memory. Am I right, students? Like we are using USB and SD card also, and they are a type of EEPROM, and that allows a high speed and high density data access and storage, but it's caused of large erase blocks in this. Okay, so I think you are clear with this. So EEPROM flash memory. EEPROM flash memory is usually used to store BIOS. Okay, students, do you know what is BIOS? What is BIOS stands for, students? It is basic input output system, and it is a set of computer instructions in firmware which control input and output operations. So commonly it is used to store these kind of instruction only. And smaller EEPROM used to store permanent and history. And we can say that, and EEPROM is the commonly used memory. There are two types of EEPROM. What are they? That is flash memory and EEPROM. Okay, then let's see what is next in the slide. Which ROM can be erased by an electrical signal? Yes, you have to tell me. That is EEPROM. So EEPROM stands for what, students? Yes, I will write here: electronically erasable programmed memory. Okay, then let's see, this is our recapitulation part. So you have to tell me what we have done in today's class. In today's class actually we have discussed about the Ram and Rom, and after that we have got to know there is a category in Ram and Rom also. What is that, students? DRAM and SRAM. And again we have divided ROM as a three category, that is EROM, EEROM and EEPROM. Okay, students, then which are the common types of ROM? You have to tell me. That is SRAM and DRAM. That means static RAM and dynamic RAM. And what are the features of SRAM? it need not to refresh, and it is very fast, and it is considered as a costly memory, and it contains transistors and clocks. Okay, so these are the main characteristics of SRAM. And the BIOS stands for what, students? Basic input output system. And which type of ROM is used? UV. Yes, we can say that EPROM, because they are using UV system, which is actually used for erasing the memory or erasing the data from that particular memory. Okay, then let's see. This is your homework, students. Use your flash memory and read a data, then check its erase ability and programmability. Okay, write down the observation in your notebook, and you have to list the advantages and the disadvantages of DRAM. That means dynamic RAM. So you have to divide it as like compare the advantage and disadvantages of DRAM. So thank you so much for joining the class, students. Thank you so much.